All right, everybody, welcome back. It is day 2 of this PowerPoint slide. We're talking about the American Revolution. We are not talking about the Revolutionary War in these videos. If you are part of the hybrid model, you know that we are talking about the American Revolution in class. And we're talking about the revolution here. We're talking about the war in class. I misspoke, but I'm not even going to worry about editing it out. You guys don't care. Come on. We're talking about the war in class. We're talking about the American Revolution right now in these videos. We talked about the causes for the American Revolution in day 1. Now we're going to talk about the First and Second Continental Congresses, what they accomplished, why they're important, why you should know about them. I'm going to get the lights. Nothing has changed since the first video. This board here, the touch board, still doesn't work. Nothing's working on it, so I'm going to be running back and forth from the desk so that I can do the slides. Don't worry about it. You're going to keep seeing me, or at least you're going to keep hearing me, even if you don't see me quite as often as you usually do in these videos. But we left off with the last video with the Intolerable Acts. And we said that the Intolerable Acts are going to lead to the First Continental Congress. So what was the First Continental Congress? At the First Continental Congress, there are going to be 56 delegates from across the colonies. They're going to include George Washington, Patrick Henry, and Sam Adams. They are a direct response to the Intolerable Acts, which were a series of acts that were passed to punish the colonists for the Boston Tea Party. Just make life harder, tax random things, make life harder for them so that you can get more money out of them. That was Great Britain's thought process. They're going to meet in Philadelphia in 1774, and this is going to be the first time that a legislative body is going to come together in the colonies to advocate for the colonies. And they're going to come with a few ideas that were not necessarily predictable. If you know what happens during the Revolutionary War, you probably wouldn't guess that this is what they said. So, they are going to boycott British goods. That's pretty predictable. They're going to stop buying British goods. They're going to stop paying the British for those goods. They're going to arm themselves and form militias. That's probably pretty predictable because we understand what's going to happen in the war. So they are going to arm themselves. And they are going to appeal to the king. So that's probably something that you didn't expect. They are going to appeal to the king. What that means is they are going to talk to the king. They are going to, this is not the Declaration of Independence, by the way, that will come later. They are going to appeal to the king. They are going to say, King, we are loyal British subjects. We just want fair representation in Congress. We just want you to hear our struggles, hear the things that we think are going wrong. Just listen to us. Listen to the things that are going wrong and adjust. That's all we want. We don't want to overthrow the government. We don't want to go to war. We don't want to be independent. We want to appeal to you. We want to talk to you, create a dialogue. That's all we want. So, King George III, he is going to refuse to allow American representation in Parliament. So he's going to say, no way. You guys don't have any representation in Parliament. You guys are over in the colonies. You don't need to be making decisions for what we have going on here. So no representation in Parliament, which is going to continue to be a problem. Remember how we talked about no taxation without representation? So he's going to continue to not allow, he's going to continue to refuse to allow American colonists to be represented in Parliament. He's also going to have no response to colonist complaints and official grievances. So they have this list of grievances, which they will bring back up in the Declaration of Independence. They have a list of things that they believe that King George could be doing better. They say, these are some things that we are taking issue with. We don't agree with the way that you're doing these things. Please fix these things. And he is going to say, no, I'm not fixing any of those things. I'm the king. I can do what I want. And no, you cannot be represented in Parliament. So that's going to lead to a little bit of a rift between the colonists and Great Britain. And the colonists, as we said, they decided to arm themselves. They decided to create little militias in different cities, just with groups of people. They armed them. So American colonists stockpiled weapons in Concord, Massachusetts, and in Lexington, Massachusetts. And 800 British troops are going to march through Lexington on their way to Concord. And Paul Revere is going to say, the British are coming. He's going to ride ahead. He's going to ride ahead of the British. I'm going to show you a map real quick. And he is going to warn the American colonists that the British are coming. The British are coming. They are going to try to attack. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Okay, so you have Revere. He's the green line. And you have the blue line, which is going to be British. And then you have red lines, which are colonists. So the British are going to come into the port of Boston, and they are going to march up. They're going to march up to Arlington. They're going to go up here. They're going to keep going. They want to go all the way across the state of Massachusetts, in Medford, Arlington, Lexington, and Concord. So this right here, this is Lexington. You can't really see it, and this is Concord. So the British are going to march up. Revere is going to ride ahead. He is going to warn them. He is going to warn everybody that the British are on their way. That gives the colonists time to gather up their guns, get ready for an attack, and stop the British from marching through Massachusetts. That is why Paul Revere's midnight ride is so important. So I'm going to go back to that last slide. So these militia, they were known as Minutemen. They were called that because they needed to be ready on a minute's notice to fight. 70 Minutemen on Village Hill, known as the Battle of Lexington and Concord. So they are going to hide, and they are going to wait, and they are going to jump out, and they are going to surprise the British. 50 Americans are going to be killed, and 45 are going to be wounded or missing. It's very uncertain which side shot first, but it really doesn't matter. Once one side shoots, the other side shoots back, and now you have a fight. Now you have a war, now you have a battle. And 65 British are going to be killed, and 208 are going to be missing. So this is going to be the first battle of the Revolutionary War. Okay, but like I said, we're not going to talk about the war too much, but we need to know that in between the First Continental Congress and the Second Continental Congress, the shot heard around the world is going to happen. And that was the first shot of the Revolutionary War. So you don't need to know about that right now. Like I said, we'll be talking about the war in class if you're hybrid, and we have separate lessons if you're virtual. So 1775, that's when the Second Continental Congress is going to take place. They decided to officially separate from Britain. So it's a different tone than the First Continental Congress. So in the First Continental Congress, they said, we're still loyal. We just want you to fix these things. King George says no. Fights start happening. And now Second Continental Congress, they say, we're officially deciding to separate. So they select a committee to draft the reasons for their separation. That's going to be their grievances. And they are going to appoint Thomas Jefferson to write the document. The document is going to be the Declaration of Independence. And this took place in Philadelphia. So the Declaration of Independence was written by Thomas Jefferson. It is the birth certificate of the United States. It is the first document in United States history that is significant because it is the first one that says we are our own country. This document listed rights and grievances against King George III. So they said, we believe that there are certain things that King George is not doing correctly. Here's the reasons why, and this is why we are declaring ourselves a free and independent nation. So, key quotes in the Declaration. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. That should sound very familiar. That's from John Locke. That they are endowed by their creators with certain inalienable rights. That's John Locke. Among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. John Locke said life, liberty, and property, but all of these ideas are going to be from John Locke. Thomas Jefferson was very influenced by John Locke. He was a big fan of John Locke, and a lot of Locke's ideas come up in the Declaration of Independence, which is why we've been over the Enlightenment already. Okay, choosing sides. So, three major groups when we talk about the sides of the war. You have patriots, who are going to be colonists who support the revolution. You have loyalists, who are going to be Americans who support the king. So they don't want to be a separate nation. They want to continue to be part of Great Britain. And then you have redcoats / lobsterbacks, and those are the British Army. So those are your three major groups. That is the end of our lesson today. Hope you enjoyed it, talking about the First Continental Congress and the Second Continental Congress. There is a Google form posted in our Google Classroom page. After you have finished watching the video, please fill out the Google Forms to get today's points. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you know how to find me. You have my email. Come talk to me in person if you have the hybrid unit. If you are virtual, please send me an email. I have office hours every Friday, so please let me know if there's anything I can do for you. If not, if you are finished for today, make sure you mark yourself as present at Infinite Campus and have a great day. See you, Wildcats.